because of that situation. What really entails when it comes to contracts, and why are record labels not open to investing in psychologists?
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. Honestly, something we going forward we have to pay attention to it. I think Diana Hamilton recently mentioned something in relation to this,
Okay.
where the labels need to take into consideration the mental health of the artists or the creatives or the talents they work with. Because at the end of the day, if the mind is not stable, what's the
How
person
can they
going
work?
to? Yeah, and so I agree. It's something we have to take into consideration. The details of contracts, honestly, it's not fixed, and so based on what
Okay.
I want to do for you,
Okay.
that's what we put in the contract.
Right.
So let me pass a joke. Maybe you're a female artist.
I
Tell
am
you,
actually, not
yeah.
maybe.
Oh, okay.
I am.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier,
Yes.
but I'm still in doubt. But yeah. So let me pass a joke. Let's
Okay.
say you're a female artist signed to a label, and then
Okay.
maybe in their contract they are like, okay, um, we don't want you to get close to any guy because we have someone in the team. We want the person to marry you or blah blah blah. Those kind of things. Those things are going to be involved in your contract, and so the way you move, it's based on what it's in your contract. I don't know if you
Yes.
get what I'm
I
trying to
do.
say.
I
And so
do.
for an artist like you, I'm sure when you go out and then a lot of guys want to come and you want to take pictures, like everybody's like, hey, no, you can't take pictures, and people don't understand it.
Right.
But based on the kind of conversations you have with the label, it obviously informs why you behave in a certain way or how. Yeah, exactly.
Alright,
And so the details of the contracts are just based on conversations.
between you
Yeah,
and
they are
the
not
artist.
fixed. Yeah.
Oh, they're not fixed. Interesting. Mr. G is in the news saying that he funded some of his projects, even though he was with highly spiritual music. Just like you said, does it mean that sometimes you guys can come in agreement that, hey, even though you are coming in as a record label, you need to fund some of your projects as well? Why should that happen if I'm signed on to a record label?
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to explain. That the deals are not fixed. We have Flip the Music, Jackie and Electro
I'm not sure,
Mirror.
yeah.
I watched an interview where Electro Mirror mentioned that Jackie was a shareholder of for this and was it Flip the Music. And so it's possible to have an artist who is on a record label
Okay.
who has the capacity to be able to fund their own project, right? But now the conversation needs to be different. In terms of owning masters and what's it called, not owning masters, most of the times the reason record label owns the masters is because they fund or they are the executive producers. And so if you have an artist who is funding their own project, I think it may not sit down very well with the artist if the label owns the masters. And so these are conversations, right? The artist can equally, it's your craft, technically. What the label is doing is to support you. And so if you have the funding and you're able to invest in it. There's no issue. I don't see any
But with
issue
what
with
Mr. G said, it was more like he wasn't supposed to, but he had to do it eventually. That is what I was asking, because he said even though he was signed on to, it means that with the agreement they had, there was nothing like, okay, at a point you may have to fund some of your projects.
The question is, why was he doing it?
Well, he's just trying to emphasize on the fact that he was passion driven, and so he was ready to, come in and do that. That's what I wanted to find out from you.
Unfortunately, then that's his loss. Unfortunately, because if you have a contract with someone, and the person is saying, "I'm going to shoot a video for you. I'm going to do this for you," and it gets to a point. Obviously, it's business. It's not always smooth, and so there are times where maybe I don't know for a fact, but maybe his label or the company doesn't have enough funds to do it, and maybe he has the funds to be able to do it. In those cases, if you want to do it, have a contract with them. Tell them, okay, I'm also giving you a loan. Either you want to invest and want to give it as a loan, or whether grants or gifts, however you want to see it. You get it?
Yes.
And so, if you don't communicate, you don't communicate very well, then it's your loss. Unfortunately for him.
Okay. All right, so interesting. I just want us to move on back into this whole contract thing, right? I know sometimes some people can be signed on a label, let's say, probably for 5 years and 10 years. Do you guys actually revisit the contract and change things when seasons are changing? Does it happen?
Yeah, it happens, but sometimes you're lost in everything, because it's when you work with an artist, the early stages it's more like work, but it gets to a point just because of the kind of relationships you build with a person, and so there's that sort of more like a brotherhood, sisterhood kind of vibe now, and so if you're not too careful, you try to overlook the business part, and then it's just like someone you just want to help. Yeah, but technically, right, that's what's supposed to happen, and especially for structured labels that are structured very well, you have your legal team, and that's their duty to wake up and think about the legal side. But for labels that don't have the legal structure, then they always have to consult an externality. Sometimes they are lost in between these things. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about the genre of music, right? We have some people doing the secular and others doing the gospel music. And when it comes to contract and they working with record labels, are there any similarities, or do you have different ways of approaching these talent?
Okay, interesting one. I didn't expect you to ask me this question. But I come from a very religious background.
Okay.
Yesterday I actually been preached in church.
Oh, glory.
So
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
hi to all my church members, Apostolic Church Ghana.
Oh, okay. Aposa.
Yeah, Danso man. And shout outs to my pastor for the opportunity to preach. It was my first time. I actually enjoyed it.
Okay.
Hoping to do more.
Very
Yeah.
good.
So back to your question. Yeah, it's sometimes a challenge, especially for gospel musicians. And so sometimes one of the few things I get people ask me is, you're always in church, you're playing piano in church, but why don't you manage a gospel artist, right?
Okay.
It's a little different because for most gospel artists, they want to treat it as a ministry rather than a business.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I'm a business. If I see a talent and I want to invest in you, sometimes the money doesn't necessarily come from me. It comes from an investor who has nothing to do with the business. The person is investing in the business, right? And then I translate that to you, the artist. Now, let's say I take a $1 million from an investor as loan, right? And you're a gospel artist. Now I come and invest that money in you. Now you have a hit song. It's time for us to perform and generate revenue. I tell you, okay, this example, ABC Church has called you for a show. Let's charge them X amount of money. And the reason we are charging X amount of money is just financial parameters we've set, so we are able to pay back our investment. And like, oh no, manager, this is my spiritual father, we can't charge. And so, like, you get the difference. But for secular artists, hardly would you find these things. Then they go charge you, bro. Like, there's no spiritual father. There's no, and so that's where the issue really is. And so for me, I have a keen interest in the gospel space. I'm not even going to lie about it, but I have a different approach to it. I have a different approach to it.
Okay. Now let's talk about the balance in between the creative process and also on your side trying to commercialize the whole thing. Because I know it's, at the end of the day, we forget money for the coffees inside, right? So how do you balance the two, where you have the artists being very freedom when it comes to their creativity and also talking about the business side of it?
And so I have a background in economics. My degree is in economics, and so I understand demand and supply to some extent. As a business person, it's really about demand. Consumers are rational, and so at some point there are certain things they want. If they want to give it to them, it's just like you selling food. When I came, I asked for the best joint. I'm sure you have your reasons why you like that food. But let's say you sell jollof, and then there's another person maybe 2 streets away from you equally sells jollof. And then for a period, you have people coming to buy your jollof, right? But it gets to a point they're like, oh, there's too much salt in your jollof, or there's too much pepper in your jollof. And then you are like, me they say, I'm here, me jollof. They will leave. Like, you get it. And so even though you are offering a service, people won't come and purchase it, or people won't come and consume it just because you're not able to meet their needs. Like I'm saying, consumers are rational. And so I understand the creative part of it, and I understand we also trying to commercialize it. But sometimes I just think it's just as humans, like as creatives, you don't go show me what I go do. Like I have my own sound, but that sound is just selling. And so one thing we do at River Oaks, or one thing I do personally, is investment has to be progressive. You get it? The only reason we are shooting this, or we are doing this and this and this for you, is because you have this market share. This is your demand. And so if, I wouldn't want to mention names, but if you are not making songs that has a lot of demand, don't expect a lot of injections. When I say injections, a lot of revenues. Like a lot of investment, a lot of us giving you a lot of money. Because at the end, they will give you a lot of money, but then people are not demanding for it. And so rather give it to someone that has music that a lot of people are demanding for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So lastly, before
Interesting.
Nanacha comes in, yeah, have you gotten to a point, or have you found yourself in a state where you had a talent you've been managing for years, and it goes like, oh Charlie, I know if you do again, I did one step down, and you go like, yo, bro, this is my cash cow. I don't want to make it go. Have you had any challenge like that?
Yeah, I have, unfortunately.
And how have you been able to do
He
it?
actually has a song out there, which is very beautiful, but I'm not going to mention names because I know how these things look like. It's quite disappointing. It's just like being in a relationship. Your girlfriend wake up one day and tell you
I
that,
don't know
bro,
if you do again.
I don't know if you do again.
Or your boyfriend too wake up and say,
Crowd
"No,
is
you do
it?
again."
And now I don't know.
You know?
I'm talking about it.
So
But yeah.
you've
So
had
it's,
something
oh
like
yeah,
that.
I've had those instances before. It can actually break you and make you lose interest in the business.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if you understand the business or you understand how life really is, you always have to bounce back. Because it's not going to end. I'm sure the current artists we are working with or whoever, at some point they'll leave. It's not marriage. It's not going to be forever. Yeah.
Interesting.
But at the end of the day, I'm sure, like for
Yeah.
me, I think if you want to live, it has to. The reasons need to make sense. Like we need to understand why you're living. Because we are not a perfect entity. Nobody is perfect. In as much as we have our own issues with the artists, I'm sure the artists equally has issues with the label as well.
Okay. So lastly, again, I was still moving in your camp, right? At what point? I know it's going to be very difficult for you to answer this. At what point would you say an artist can say goodbye to a label? What stage can you get to and go like, okay, Charlie, you do your own thing now?
Okay, and so for me, right, this is how I see it. It gets to a point the artist will outgrow the brand of the label, right?
Okay.
Yes.
If we're not on TV, I could have mentioned names.
We are certainly, we need to make some case studies, so that's fine.
Yeah, and so I think one of the reasons Kwame Eugene is not on Links Entertainment is no disrespect to Links Entertainment or Richie Mensah. He's actually one person I actually look up to.
Okay.
I love his work, everything he has done, from production to also even manage an artist. But I think, or per my observation, one of the reasons Kwame Eugene is not where Links Entertainment is, I think he has outgrown the Links Entertainment brand. And so the same way we want the artist to have the international appeal, that's the same way the business equally, or the company or the label needs to get a business appeal as well. Because if your demographic is just making the artist known in Ghana, after that one next for the artist.
Wow.
Yes.
That's quite deep.
Yeah, that's
so meaning
very true.
so Ashby, let's get it right. So meaning labels that we have right here in Ghana, they do not do well when it comes to giving these talents that global visibility. That is why most of the time they get to a point and Charlie, they no fit data circle inside again.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I think so. But also, I won't fault any label. I think the partnerships just has to be strategic, because we have Kim Promise, who is still with Legacy Life, Shobiz, and he's still making international stuff. And I'm sure, I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure Legacy Life Entertainment have partnerships with international labels. That's why it's making it possible.
Yeah, I mean, like what JK said, well, I was really coming from that angle. I just wanted to find out why some artists leave. So we see Ashake leaving YBN and having his own record label now. That is there to show us that some artists can actually outgrow the record label. I mean, Stonebwoy has outgrown Beam Records, if I'm right. You've seen other people do it as well. So as a record label, how do you try to get back on track? You know, you start with someone at a very tender stage, I would say, help nurture the talent, and it gets to a point where they outgrow their brand. Does it mean that they come back to you and say, oh, can we visit a contract? Now I want these things in place because now I feel like I have to outgrow your brand. And then maybe as a record label, as a manager, you feel like, you know what, I can't meet your standards anymore, so I would have to let you go.
Yeah. I think it's imperative for labels to equally have international appeal. Because at the end of the day, what we need to remember is the reason the artist is signing with you is because there's a value proposition.
Right.
So once they don't see that value proposition, then what again do you have to offer? And so you as a business, make sure you always have a value proposition to offer. And so that's the main thing. Always make sure you have a value proposition to offer.
But
Because if you don't have any value proposition,
then how do you?
yeah.
But do you think a Ghanaian record label, they prep our Ghanaian artists for the outside market? Do you think that things you do, structures that you have in place, actually prep and expose our Ghanaian artists to opportunities beyond the Ghanaian borders?
Yeah, I think they do to some extent, but at the end of the day, it's not by force. Not everybody wants to go to international. It's not by force.
Really?
Everybody has their own objectives in life. Like you get it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a young girl looking up to you who just wants to be on social media and post a picture.
Yeah.
But your ambitions are very, very different from that young person. And
Sure.
to me, I don't have an issue if labels just want the artist to be locally based. That is your own wahala. But I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Right.
And so that's why I keep saying that make sure your vision and mission as an artist aligns with that of your label. Because if you're an artist who wants to go international and your label is a label where they just want to be locally based, just have a hit song and play shows, Casaprecon, those 1 or 2 shows and then be okay.
You're mean.
Right.
That's fine. That's
fine.
yeah.
I
You
mean-
can't force them why you feel like they have to go international.
Village champions.
Yeah,
huh?
village
All
champion.
right.
Is that a Casablanca?
Okay, let me get personal with you. I'm sure you've chanced on the recent happenings with Amanova and Famille. Let me just get that inspiration from that side. As a record label, I know you've been trying to get features for your people that are signed onto your label. Have you had such experience before where you feel like, oh, you know, I'm very cool with this person, I'm very cool with this person. Let me just have that verbal agreement with the person and get a feature from that person, and then it turns out to be something else. I mean, have you had personal experiences like that?
Oh yeah, there has been a lot. Even just this morning, I was even working on something in relation to that. But with Ama Nova and then Famille, I read the story, so I'm not too sure. Maybe you could update me. But for the impression I had, it's Ama Nova has a song with Famille, and then she wants to shoot a video, and then Famille is not available. It's quite unfortunate. I don't know the transactional process. I don't know how things happen. But from Amanova, she paid an X amount of money, and so in the contract, Famille was supposed to do the video as well. I don't know if it was a written contract or a gentleman's agreement. But if I don't know why Famille wasn't available. But there are a lot of uncertainties, and so there are a lot of reasons why Famille may not be available. I think Ama Nova's issue is that they are not communicating very well, and so that's where the issue is. But these are things we experience, not even in just business, in our everyday lives. In your relationship, your boyfriend tells you that you call you at 10 p.m. He's
I'm
not
on
able
a
to call.
spiritual journey, so I'm unavailable. Thank you.
All the best to you.
All the best to that journey we did there.
But yeah, like I'm saying, it happens in our daily lives, and so it's really just about communication and making sure everybody understands what the next step looks like.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So,
But I'm over, don't worry. If Family on doing, I have a lot of artists.
that is what you
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I like it.
But
Great.
Family will do it.
Interesting. Let's talk about Kwabena too. I think we have a lot of case studies we can, tap into and ask all questions.
Yes.
He said we don't have record labels in Ghana.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't know the premise for that
yeah.
for that argument. And so maybe he would have to explain why he thinks we don't have record labels in Ghana. Because to the best of my knowledge, a record label should be able to distribute.
Okay.
A record label should have the financial backing. The record label should. So there are segments of it, and so we have like the major labels and we have the independent labels.
Okay.
And so I don't know if he wants to say we don't have major labels in Ghana, because there's not even any major label in Nigeria. The only major labels are Universal Music, Sony, and then Warner Music Group. And so I don't understand, or I don't know the premise of his argument. Probably he's coming from the financial aspect where he feels like there are not a lot of money for Ghanaian record labels. But like I'm saying, it's relative. You get it. Maybe you need a $1 million to play an O2 show. Someone needs a 500 Ghana cedis
to do
something else. And so maybe I think we need to engage him more, and to understand why
Where
he
he's coming
thinks,
from.
yeah, there are no record labels in Ghana.
Interesting.
Now, Ash, let's move into your camp, right?
Okay.
Let's talk about your label. We want Ghanaians to have a fair idea what is in there when you're being signed to your label, some of the things these artists get to enjoy, how contract and everything. Just run us through.
Even though I'm the CEO, I'm not sure I have the legal permission to give you what the contract looks like. But
Okay.
the truth is, we are in for business. It's a business outfit or entity.
Okay.
The idea is to, one, help you grow as an artist, to market your music, and then generate revenue. Very important, like the generation of revenue. I'm sure everybody, we keep forgetting that part. And so it's just like any other business. We are not here to sell your soul or rip you off of your creativity and everything, but it's more like a partnership.
Okay.
We are like partners, and so we call ourselves, if you want to navigate Sussex, we are your strategic partners. And so we see ourselves as partners. We don't see ourselves as your boss, even though the money comes from our pocket. And so River Oaks is a beautiful family. I'm not even going to lie. For everybody or any artist who has had the privilege of working with us, you are able to tell. But like I'm saying, the focus is, one, to help you as an artist grow, market your music, or sell your music or the product, and then generate revenue from it.
Revenue.
Yeah.
I think running through has all been business, but with the creativity too is very important. Since you also have a musical
So that's where
background.
they help the artists grow, and so we have like an A&R department, artist development department, and so they help you grow. They give you a bit of media training, and so you just don't. It's just like a tailor. When a young guy wants to you go and see a tailor, you be under training for a period, and then after that they do a ceremony for you. So that's where you have the unveiling of the artist. But before that, there's a series of things we do to make you grow.
But musically too.
Yeah, that's
voice training. And
yeah.
everything,
So that's the A&R. You have the artist and repertoire department. So they help you. They run you through vocal practice. They help you through dancing. Because if you are like me, I want to be an artist, right? And there are a lot of things that has to change about me. I can't even move my left leg.
Yeah.
I need to change it. Because at the end of the day, if I have a jamming song and I'm on stage,
Definitely,
I actually
need
need to dance.
You
Yeah.
need to.
Great. And ever since you set up this whole institution, would you say it's been quite a roller coaster or challenges you've faced in the past years?
Oh, there are challenges. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not, even for the people who have every resources, there are challenges. I don't want to sound very church, but I'm a Christian, and so I'm just focused. I'm just focused on the good part of it, and I don't really watch the setbacks or the things that try to hinder our progress as a team. But it hasn't been smooth. I don't even sound like I have it all figured out. It hasn't been smooth. But we've achieved a few milestones, which everyone is excited, and so let's just focus on the good parts, positive parts, and then leave the negative parts.
Give it to the devil. But how many artists do you have to your credits as a record label?
Okay, so for River Oaks now we have one artist. Shout outs to Yahood, and so he's a Ghanaian musician, but based in Turkey, and so he came from the gospel. What's it called? The gospel fraternity. As a live bass player, and now he wants to do music. He wants to, because he has been behind the scenes. He has played with the King Promise, Manifest, a lot of people, done amazing productions as well. But now he has, he has the call.
He has been called.
Yeah, he has been called. He has been called to come and be an artist. And so called him. To be an artist. And so currently he's the one we are working with. Aside that, we work with other artists, but they are not necessarily signed to us. We do consultation. We help other artists with marketing plan, a few other things as well.
And the future looks promising.
Very, very promising. But you were talking about the guy. He's Ghanaian but based in Turkey, and so definitely there's going to be a different approach to his management and all that. Since there's a foreign touch to it, how do you balance it?
So it's an amazing experience, and so what I was mentioned earlier, so these are certain strategic partnerships you can have, so you are able to get the international appeal. And so because he's based in Turkey, what we try to do is set up a team in Turkey for him to help with his exposure there. And because we are based in Ghana here, we also have a team here, and so they kill two birds
Two
with one
birds.
stone.
That's quite
Exactly.
smart.
Shall let's put ASHBEL on the spot, all right?
Okay.
I know he's a chat boy, like the
He
God did and everything. So Black Sharif, Dinah Hamilton, who would you want to put on your label?
The way he's businessman.
Black Sheriff.
You're gonna go for Black Sharif. Oh, you disappoint God. Why you do so?
I know disappointment.
Oh, no.
At the end of the day, is the money waiting here?
Oh, not necessarily.
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's not. It's not.
But it's a big factor, though.
Oh yeah, of course. It's a big factor.
Okay.
But like I'm saying, if you remember, I mentioned earlier, I still do a lot of church things. I still do a lot of gospel things. It's just that for now, currently, I don't, because of how a lot of people see the gospel industry as a ministry, and so it makes me understand how to approach those things. And so if I'm going to help a gospel artist, or if I'm going to support a gospel artist, the truth is I'm not looking for returns. I'm doing it just because as a Christian I want to
Charity,
do.
like out of your
Yeah.
fuel,
Out of charity.
because
Yeah.
I mean with the gospel side, because I remember Christiana Love, Obapa Christine now. Last year she was bashed because she had a concert and she was charging. You know, people were bashing like, "Is the word of like the work of God? Why'd you have to?" So I do understand you, but
Well, he's going for Black Sharif, yeah.
yes. But it's a new year, 2025, just in the second month. How is the future looking like for your record?
Amazing. God has been faithful.
Definitely.
I'm sure viewers will be like, hey, Richard, when I'm
God,
yeah. But God has been good. And so currently there are a few things we are doing. And so there's a project we are working on called Sounds After Dark.
Okay.
And so it's in collaboration with After. And so After, it's like a restaurant, Inside Vine restaurant
Okay.
Ooh.
in
Okay.
Laboni. Shout outs to After. Amazing team. Very, very supportive. And so Sounds After Dark, it's a weekly project we are currently embarking on. And so the idea is to give platform to emerging and established artists to connect with their fans through live music and have interactions. And so last week, Delve Nicole was here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Nice one. You did like international people.
No, but we've had a few Ghanaian
Ghanaians,
artists on. Kelali was on, Shelter was on.
Okay.
Okay.
This week we have Kaiser coming on as well.
Okay,
So we
that's
had a
amazing.
few local people in there. And then on Friday, the vows day. The reason I was telling you that you are lying that my vows didn't go.
What's
very
go
well.
on?
Actually jammed.
Jam,
Jam.
So we had sort of like another event at Vine Restaurant where we had Nectar Wood from London. She came to perform. This is her first time in Ghana, and so she was very excited to connect with a few people. Babaji was around. Obed Ward was around as well. We had the team from Cracks Global also joining in. And we had Dels. He's a Ghanaian artist.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been an amazing
It
year
is.
so far.
And it looks very promising as well.
But I'm
the
inviting
future.
you guys to this week's edition of Sounds After Dark. You guys will love it.
Sure. We'll
Thank
have to
you,
have a try of
definitely.
that.
I'm sure Dove Nicole invited you guys last week.
I think
didn't come.
she
She
mentioned
did,
something
she
like that.
actually
Yeah.
did.
So if you
Yes.
don't come, I know that you people they won't
Oh,
come.
we beg, make you don't do so. We're gonna try. We
We
really
will,
appreciate your
we
presence
will.
this morning, and
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
trying to educate us on this whole record label thing. I think I now have a different perception at all, and it's amazing how you're running your work, your socials. If people want to follow you, then.
Yeah, and so for the company and then myself, so the company River Oaks Records, so riveroaks.records, and then for my personal account, David_ASHBEL, ASHBEL. So you can follow me. I'd respond.
Sure.
You can send a message to River Oaks. The team will respond.
Great. Thank you so much for having me this
Thank you,
morning.
thank you.
All right. So, viewers, it's been a beautiful Monday morning right here on your screens. We've discussed a lot. We brought you the Motivation Matters Horizon segment. We went straight into the world of sports. And Nature gave you the latest updates. We brought you the Bass Break. And right here on the feature, we had ASHBEL right here, enlightening us about management and record labels right here in Ghana. Thank you going now to our executive producers, our producers for the show, the entire team, everyone watching from home. We do appreciate the week has started. We have a lot of content right here for you. Make sure you're following us on all our social media platforms. That's Shobiz TV on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We also activate our WhatsApp lines. If you have